And welcome back to another edition of the Every EDF College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Johnson. I'm joined by the one and only Lamar Fields and the one and only Paul Casanova. And boys, we are headed into week 4 of the college football season, a young season at that, but it is
Wait, how do they do that?
definitely a big surprise to say the least. Now, coming in from last week, we'll just get straight to it. There were some games out there that really caught the world by storm. Two games in particular. Lamar, you go first. What games stood out to you the most, and for what reason?
So I was going to Colorado State game. It's pretty good. Everybody expecting Colorado to blow them out, but sometimes you're gonna get a big audience. So that team rises to the occasion too and played well. Should have won that game, but good teams find a way to win, and bad teams find a way to lose.
Lamar, was
Uh,
that was
yeah,
that dirty though, Lamar? Were they dirty?
yeah. That ball hit the ground. It was hit the ground. Was on the ground for like 2 or 3 seconds before he laid the
He
hit. So I
he was on
mean,
the bench taking off his helmet, getting a drink, and
yeah,
then got hit. Come on, man. Like,
yeah. But good to the Colorado team for showing composure and not reacting.
but it wasn't just that too. I know it was
Yeah,
all night they were doing stuff like that. It
yeah,
didn't matter. It was almost like they were I hate to say it, but when teams do that to me, it feels like that's how you think the only way you can win.
yeah. Rough them up, try to get them out of character, but
You
I
know?
mean they preach discipline in Colorado, so they ain't gonna get too out of character as you can see. But
Yep,
yeah, that
that's
was a
for
good
sure.
game. 9 million viewers for a Colorado State Colorado game. That's
9 million.
that's crazy, and all because of really one person. So I mean,
Do you know how many
okay,
NBA games they wish had 9 million viewers?
yeah, it's gonna be crazy because this Saturday game gonna get a lot of viewers too.
That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a game that stuck out to me. Florida State, Boston College was another good one. Boston College gave Florida State all they can handle. I wonder if Florida State was looking ahead to this week's game against Clemson. But there were some good games. Like I said, man, in games, sometimes them games you don't expect to be good ones turn out to be the best games of the weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
About you, Paul?
It was basically the same. I mean, like I said last time, I sat there. I watched Florida, Tennessee, and then the Colorado State, and Florida Tennessee was. I mean, I hate to say it. I'm going to sound like I'm a homer or whatever, but like Florida always beats Tennessee, so I wasn't like too
yeah,
over like overjoyed because to me that ain't a measurement for me. That'll be coming, for where they're at. And it's just a bad luck thing for Tennessee. They just have bad luck. It's that one team that's like Tennessee's kryptonite. They can't seem to win no matter what happens. Remember a couple of years ago when they were down on the last play, he throws a bomb at the last second and they win.
yeah.
Like it's just I feel bad for Tennessee because they have a great team, but that was good. That was good. And Tom, that Penn State game wasn't bad either. I get like the four box on my TV now with the YouTube TV. You get the
Yeah, I know. I love it. I love that. That was like,
it's
oh,
great, isn't it? Like that's the
yeah,
best thing that you can have, man. You get to pick your four. Like they have all kind of
yeah,
different games, so you could choose which ones you go inside that. But
yeah. Definitely
but yeah,
gonna
I
need
got
that Saturday.
yeah. Oh, it's great, man. And then I got to watch the Penn State one with the all those other games at the same time. So, but Penn State looked good too. They looked shaky at first, but then they came through. Like they started showing up.
It's always what happens on the road with them. It's like I was telling people, it's like you kind of gauge the opposing team's game plan for like the first quarter, the first half, and then you make some adjustments and then go out in the second half. I mean, they beat Illinois. That's really what counts. They beat them on the road, which is what even counts even more. But if I'm looking at the games that I think stood out to me, I wasn't expecting Colorado and Colorado State to go into overtime, but it did. But the fact of the matter is Coach Prime came out with a victory. 9 million viewers is a plus. I think that's a good thing for college football. I think it also goes to show college football fans, they like to see those teams that turn it around. It's ultimately good when you're already doing better than last season, but at the same time, you're also getting better, but you're also drawing viewership to college football because I think that's what matters the most. There's a lot of proud Colorado Buffalo alum out there that, are probably happy to see that, their team seeing 9 million views in prime time and so on and so forth. But I will say this is the other game that stuck out to me. I mean, there's probably two. I would touch a little on the Alabama South Florida game just because of how close it was, basically from start to end. A lot of people would presume that, a team like Alabama would go out on the road and crush a team like South Florida. And, whenever you only come up with 17, points in 4 quarters and you have the talent that Alabama has compared to the talent South Florida has, that's that. But the other one I would say is
but Tom, when do we start talking bad about Alabama? Because they have a real problem at quarterback.
yeah, I mean
This
they
ain't like
do.
they have this guy that's sitting there that he's just out for a little bit. Their 5-star guy
Yeah.
that's really good. They have a real problem because he went, okay, not this guy, then this guy. Oh, okay, well, not that guy, and he wasn't even giving him like a time.
Yeah.
Like he was yanking them like quick. So that
Mm-hmm.
tells you right there, he's shooting at it. Like, let me see what this does. Let me see what this does. When do we start saying Alabama's in trouble? When they start
Yeah, I
losing
mean,
more
I
games?
honestly think that they're in trouble. I mean, because let's put it this way, if you're really questioning the most important spot on offense and the most important position, which I mean, at least in my opinion, it's the quarterback because the quarterback's the anchor, then you really have a big issue on your hands because now it's like, okay, well, you know, I mean, maybe it's Nick Saban playing mind games. It's probably not. Maybe there is a legitimate issue at quarterback, but if I were Nick Saban, I would take practice to really find out, like where the issue is and we got to correct it, and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I
uh,
just think we might be seeing them starting their decline. You
oh,
know what I'm saying?
absolutely. And then, the other game that really shocked me was the game that you touched on, which was Florida and Tennessee. I'm not sure what the odds were going into that. I'm not really a big odds guy. It's just I like to see the lines and see what Vegas likes to think. But,
Yeah.
to see, Florida kind of bounce back, maybe if they gain momentum from this, you got to ask yourself, okay, for them going on the road to Utah and losing, and then now coming back here. And then I believe at the time, Tennessee was the 11th ranked team in the country at that game. And
Yeah.
then now, fast forward, if anything special were to happen to Florida, which Paul, you would know more about that than any of us, but how bad would that Utah loss hurt? I mean, it would probably hurt a lot considering it was on the road and this was at home. But
See,
yeah,
I
yeah.
hear you, but like to me, I think, and you're right, I think on how it's perceived and how that'll go. But to me, it shouldn't it be like just the opposite, like them losing to Utah when they did
They
on the road?
lost to a ranked team. I
Exactly,
mean,
like they should have, right?
Florida is unranked at the time.
Right, and they had absolutely, and I'm gonna be realistic, they had almost really absolutely no business to win that game. So for them to be where they were at, and then right now, like you said, they won that game against another ranked team, and I take that with a grain as well. But if they do it again, then you have to look at that Utah loss and say, well, maybe it was okay that they lost to the because Utah's a good team, and maybe they're a good team. Maybe they're not right there, you know. But
I
I
also think
it
it
should
deals
give
with
you more credence, I think.
I
Anyway,
mean, it can, I mean, I think about it this way is Billy Napier, the head coach of Florida, he's been looking for that monumental victory, and I think he
his
got
first
that.
one, yeah.
But, at the end of the day, it's like, it's great to get that victory, but where do you build off of that victory and where's the trajectory of your program going
Well,
from there? But I mean,
I'll tell you, look for 2 weeks at Kentucky.
oh yeah.
Because
I mean,
going into
to beat
Kentucky, that's
Tennessee,
a bite 'em game right there. Even though Kentucky's not really ranked up there either or nothing,
yeah.
but they're a tough team and they have a problem going and they got this thing right now going for a couple of years against Florida. So They really want it. Like that's going to be the game to me that will really give me like this determination of how they are. Is if they go into Kentucky and play good, then I'm going to be happy with where their progress is. If they go into Kentucky and get stomped on or get beat, then we also know exactly really where they're at.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to win by 13, that was honestly something that actually caught my mind. I'm actually trying to actively look to see. Wow, the Volunteers were favored by 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
That's
to
not
me,
bad,
that
especially
tells
on
you
the
a little,
road. That's
that definitely tells
basically
you a little something.
that's basically like saying 8 because they give you 3 for being home anyway. I mean, so
Yeah, but I mean, like, let's put it this way though. You're Florida that's unranked and you face the 11th best team, quote unquote, in the country and you beat them by 13.
yeah.
I mean, you can argue if the game was involved in Tennessee, would that have shifted it? It was at the swamp. I can almost bet you that probably had something to do with it. But even then, that just doesn't distract you from the fact that you're the unranked team that beat the 11th ranked team at that time, because now I think Tennessee's 23. But anyway, outside of that, now that does switch up some of the what I like to call not so relevant AP top 25, just because that poll to me is irrelevant. Now we shift our focus to this week. And there are a few games that stick out on the schedule. The first one that I would really like to talk about is Notre Dame and Ohio State. Right now, the odds makers have Ohio State favored by 3. Um, I really don't know. Like, I don't know how Vegas comes up with these odds or whatever the case is, but I want each of your thoughts on this game, gentlemen. You got Notre Dame, who is really trying to make a name for themselves and pray. They have talent this year. There's no doubt about it. But then what are your thoughts over on that game and compared to last year, how it happened at Ohio State?
This is a big game for Notre Dame, I would say. I mean, they're what, underdogs at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, under 3-point underdog at home. So it's a
They're at
big game
home.
for them. This would be a big statement win for them. It'd be a big statement win for both teams. Whoever come out on top could be sitting pretty nice when the college football rankings out there continue to play well. Um, Notre Dame, Notre Dame running back. What's his name? I saw his name. I think it's ETN. Yeah, Notre Dame running back Esteen, 521 yards on the ground already.
Notre
So
Dame has a really balanced team.
yeah,
Like they have seemed like so far they've been like really consistent and balanced, and being at home and being an underdog. You said they were the underdog at home.
Yeah,
yep.
they're minus Ohio State's -3.
Doesn't Ohio State also have a QB problem?
I mean, yeah, Ohio State does, but they also have, perhaps one of the best receivers in college
Yeah, they
football.
got Marvin
Yeah,
Harrison Jr.
And
yeah,
they got a loaded backfield with
Yep.
Trayvon Henderson and Mayon Williams.
but I
Yeah,
mean,
and
you're talking about
and Trey Nandem too. They got
Yeah.
133 yards rushing. They got
but you got a complete Notre Dame team too. I don't know. I
yeah.
just see this as like a setup for Notre Dame to win this. Like it's set up. Also, I was watching the other day them saying something like Notre Dame would have to run the table and still get help and all this. It's like
Oh, I don't think so.
they have such a lower bar, a higher bar though to get in without being in these conferences. So like they
Well,
kind
just
of need
as a
this.
figure of last game, 21-10 in favor of Ohio State, but that was in Columbus. So never know where the tables are going to shift. I mean, it's a night game. Notre Dame fans are sure going to be fired up.
Yeah, they gotta go to Duke next week.
You like
But then,
Duke?
I mean, also Notre Dame's schedule kind of gets easier because then they have.
Yeah, after Duke, they got Louisville. Then they USC come to Notre Dame. Pittsburgh come to Notre Dame, then Notre Dame go to Clemson, Wake Forest go to Notre Dame, then they play at Stanford. So if
That's not bad right there.
they can win those three ranked games, they'd be sitting pretty and win the rest of the game. They could be in the mix.
I mean, I think that overall, that game in particular this weekend, it's going to tell a lot about Ohio State football because that's a true test for Ohio State. It's
For
just Notre
sure.
Dame very well balanced on both sides of the ball. And it's going to come down to who might make that extra play or two that you're going to need to get away with either a 3-point victory or whatever. I mean, I just from what I've seen out of Ohio State these first couple games, either they're really hiding stuff or they honestly really might have a quarterback issue. And one of the two, it's okay. I mean, but I think you're really going to get a very hard fought game from both teams. I think if I'm the person giving the odds, I'd give Notre Dame the edge just because it's at home and it's at night. But you never know what Ohio State's going to do because, if they lose this early, then it's like they're forced to really win out.
Yeah.
Whereas if they don't lose, then they could afford to maybe lose against Penn State or even worse, lose against Michigan, but still have the opportunity to run the table. But what would also happen is they're at Michigan, so that would honestly hurt them as a road loss and their ranks. So, there's a lot of magnitude of factors that factor in. I mean, that's really going to be a great game per se. Any final thoughts on that game?
Who you taking?
I would probably say Notre Dame. And the only reason I say that is because Notre Dame is at home. I just think that there's got to be more to Ohio State that we either haven't seen or they seriously might have a couple issues. But
Yeah.
I mean, Notre Dame's defense is pretty strong too. So I think overall, it's going to be a hard fought game. But I think Notre Dame would probably come out.
What do you think, Lamar?
Uh, I think I might run Ohio State.
Ohio State?
Yeah, I know Notre Dame's good, but I seen them. I seen them cough up a lot of big games, man. Growing up and lately, I
Them
mean,
turnovers.
I
and
mean, it's a
them
big
being
game for
and
Mark.
them being a 3-point underdog at home when they ranked in the top 10 is
Yeah.
Vegas must know something we don't.
Yeah, something's up, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with Notre Dame too, though.
Now, the next game on the docket, I would just talk about the short and sweet Penn State versus Iowa. Penn State's 14.5-point favorites. Um, I'll just keep this short and simple. Iowa really has no clue what's coming for them. It shocked me when the attendance record for WVU and Penn State was the fourth largest. I would ultimately assume that either against Iowa or against Michigan that record gets broken because I know it's like 110,800 something or 110,900 something. But the way Iowa fans disrespected Penn State the last time, that doesn't steer clear of Penn Staters all around. Just overall how they are. I mean, they do have a really good defense, and I think that this game is going to be a ground game more so than anything. They do have a very great defensive coordinator at Iowa. He knows what he's doing. But I think what it really comes down to is Penn State's at home. There's a lot of animosity going into this game based off of the past, and it's another big hype a primetime event for Drew Aller to show what he has and to show the week to week improvement. So there's that. You guys.
Yeah, I think Penn State's going to have too much for them. You're right about the uneasiness between the two. That'll make for a good game. It'll also make it good for people like you, Penn State fans, when they clobber them. So I got Penn State.
I got Penn State only because all the injuries that Iowa got. If that tight end was playing those top running backs, I would take Iowa, and here's why: because Iowa plays defense. Penn State gonna have some tough time running on them. They're gonna force that Drew Aller to pass, and He didn't look too sharp last week passing against Illinois.
I love it, boy. Lamar's on some hot takes tonight. I love it.
No,
Well, no, I mean,
I
there
just
was
watch a lot of I
pressure.
just watch a lot of football. I know how
Yeah.
matchups are. I mean, Penn
I mean,
State
there was a
going
lot of pressure on
Penn
him
State
last week. He
Penn,
just
yeah, let's go. And Penn State want to run the ball, and receivers wasn't getting open and stuff. And against a good team like Iowa, who play physical defense, like a pro style defense. But the
Mm.
thing is, Penn State got a strong defense too, and Iowa's missing their top receiver, the tight end, and they missing their top two running backs. Which hence why they're 14 point, which why they're a 14-point under favorite. If they were
I was going
healthy,
to say something's really wrong with that line. There's
yeah,
some errors in that. That's
yeah, they got their
not big
top
of
two.
a favor.
Yeah, their top two running backs are not playing. They only third string running back, and their top receiver is out.
Sometimes I notice that with the odds, it's like it's a little
Yeah.
too much. Moving ahead, we're gonna probably, unless you want to talk about it, Paul, the Ole Miss Alabama game. Alabama's -7. I'd probably take Bama just because it's home for them. I think.
Yeah, Bama
This
has
is
a way of handling him.
yeah, this is the game where we're gonna see if what Alabama really is. Ole Miss, okay, Alabama's supposed to have a down season. Y'all need to show up.
Yeah.
Next
Next,
game, Colorado and Oregon.
because next year might not be the next year might Alabama might beat them restock. So you always gonna get recruits. So Ole Miss better take the chance to beat them.
Oh, absolutely. Next game is Colorado and Oregon. Spread Oregon -21.
Yeah, that's crazy. First of all, I mean, not that
Well,
they can't do it, but I just think that that's a high number for a Colorado team that we've seen play like they've played so far, and I think it's going to be closer than that. I do give it to Oregon, but I think it's going to be closer.
yeah, I got Oregon. I got Oregon maybe by
I, I,
17. I just Colorado gonna be able to score points, but they Travis Hunter not playing. That hurts. It's like losing two players. They play both sides of the ball, but
Huge.
I mean, Colorado gonna be prepared to play. They got a good coach that they're prepared to play. It's just gonna be how Oregon got the big guys up front.
Yeah, I think this is where you take a step forward by a loss. They'll still advance
Yeah.
themselves this year and be a better team.
I mean,
But they'll
they already mastered their predicted win total.
exactly right. Triple.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
I love it.
Then they got USC next week. That's gonna be
And
that's
that's a
gonna be
noon. That's a noon game.
at
So
9 o'clock for here. Yeah, but that's gonna be
9.
crazy, man. It's gonna be so many celebrities and athletes at that game.
Can you imagine it?
I think that game gonna shatter some ratings records.
Oh, no
Oh,
doubt. It has O.J. Simpson already talking.
Yeah,
I'd say Oregon's got that game.
especially if Shador have a good game against Oregon, put up some big numbers against Oregon, and
Yep. Then you got Williams and
yeah,
and the matchup right there. Heisman, who that could be the Heisman game, right?
Yeah, I'd say that this is a learning game for Colorado. They might keep it close, but Oregon does definitely come out on top. I just, stuff like that. But yeah, then we move to UCLA, Utah, -4.5 for Utah. I would probably take Utah in that.
yeah. And Pac-12 games be weird though, man. A lot of them lower, be a lot of upsets out there because the defense that they don't play. But
Yeah.
I like Utah. Utah's pretty solid. I would go with them too in a close game.
I keep picking against Utah, and I just keep getting burned every week when I pick against them. But I solidly believe UCLA is better than they are ranked. I think they're a better
Yeah.
team. So I'm going to say this one, they get this one, UCLA.
And then the last one, Washington State versus Oregon State. Oregon State -3.
That's going to be a good game, though.
Yeah, I think I'll go with Oregon State. Oregon State's been. I was wondering why they was ranked so high, but I've been watching. Playing good football. Got ukulele out there playing pretty good for him. He didn't do good at Clemson. Sometimes be the pressure thing. He ain't got the same type of pressure in Oregon State than he would have in Clemson. Sometimes that it happens that way.
To me,
See it
this
in
will be
base.
it.
See it
Yeah.
in baseball all the time.
To me, this will be a classic Pac-12 game. A lot of scoring. Like, so, be fun to watch.
Yep.
Definitely. And then here's one final note. So Jim Harbaugh is back on the Michigan sideline after Michigan Athletics self-imposed a 3-game suspension. Here's a question for y'all because the news is popping up. Do you think Harbaugh gets punished by the NCAA in 2024, but do you think it's less because of the self-imposed punishment that Harbaugh got from Michigan? He was questioned about this at Big Ten Media Days, but he really could not lay anything out just because of the situation.
I don't think so.
You don't think you will? See,
No.
here, now, I have a theory, and I have a feeling that this is going to break the NCAA. That listening to some of the stuff that I've read on Harbaugh in this situation, he's so mad that he's not going to be happy with just what's going on and taking his punishment. Like he's really upset with the NCAA and he wants something done. And I think this might be that straw that breaks the NCAA's back and gets them off to where they start going and looking at maybe doing conferences themselves, and ruling. Because when you look at it, the NCAA's time is gone. Like their time is gone. And I just think this one's going to get, I don't think he's going to get any more time because they're a joke. And what's already happened has happened. His suspension, his thing, it'll look like double jeopardy almost. It'll look bad. So I don't think they're going to do anything. And I don't think he's going to let it lie. So I think this story is far from over. From what I've heard, like he's got this, I think he's aiming to get the NCAA down. And all the problems they've had, they've never won a court case. I mean, they lose every time they go in. Like this one could be the one. I think this is the one that really says to everybody right now, what do you do? I think if you get in front of a judge with NCAA, what do you do? What do you guys do? That a conference doesn't already do or couldn't do anyway.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't think the NCAA poses something, but they could. And then one final tidbit. Since the Penn State-Iowa game is this Saturday and it's on CBS, it's going to be the first time CBS has broadcasted a game since November 24th, 1990. In that telecast, Penn State beat Pitt 22-17 from the research that I did. That's crazy. But I mean, hey, there's always new memories to be made. CBS and that new television deal.
I was going to say, seeing some of them will die now and some will go on because these new deals with these new conferences, you may never see things again the same. So
yeah.
Well, anything more to add, gentlemen? I know we have a minute left.
Nope.
Well, that's going to do it.
I can't wait for this week. That's what I'll say. I can't wait for this week.
Big games. Man.
Games all week. Love it.
That's going to do it for this edition of the EDF College Football Podcast. For Paul Casanova and Lamar Fields, I'm Tom Johnston. We'll see you guys on the next one.